Okay.
And this raven that lives with us here at the museum, so she'll settle in and take a look at you and get comfortable. And she might start making noise. When she's interested in something, she raises the feathers above her eyes so they look sort of like eyebrows.
Beautiful, isn't she? She's so pretty.
She usually likes to click. You thinking about clicking?
Stage fright.
One of the things you can see is she's actually blinking her eyes, but she's using her third eyelid. So these guys have she has an upper eyelid and a lower eyelid like we do, but she's actually got a third eyelid and it looks white. So the third eyelid comes out of the corner of her eye and goes across diagonally. Just being a little quiet at this point, but that's okay. So a couple things that you might notice is she has a lot of feathers under her beak and on her throat. You actually won't see that on crows. She has a very large, heavy beak. As you saw with the skulls, crows have a lighter, thinner. And in the live bird, you can actually see her feathers grow down over her nostrils. That almost sounded a little bit like an owl.
Yes.
So we say that ravens have a beard, the big shaggy feathers that they have on their throat. You won't see that on crows. So crows have a cleaner throat. They are a much larger bird overall, too. This bird lives with us because when she was very young, she had an injury to one of her wings. She did have to have surgery and a part of the wing had to be removed. So she's not able to fly. So she couldn't live in the wild. She's thinking about taking her leash off there. Sometimes she opens her beak up a little bit to breathe. Just like other birds and like animals, similar to animals like dogs and pigs, birds don't have sweat glands. So when it is a hot day to cool off, oh, she's doing it right there. She's sometimes going to open her beak and breathe a little bit with her mouth open, and that helps her cool off. So that's a bird way of cooling off. You can see that she's totally black. Black feet, black nails, black feathers, black beak. So she's actually lived with us for quite a while. She's 21 years old, I believe. Yeah, she's over 20.
How long can they live?
And in captivity, they've actually lived to be 40. But in the wild, the oldest one that's been documented, so a bird that was actually had a band, and they knew it was a nestling bird when it was banded. The oldest living wild common raven was 17. So she's actually outlived wild birds, but we hope she'll be with us for quite a while more. I keep saying she, and I'm actually not sure if this is a boy or a girl. Boy ravens and girl ravens look exactly the same. So it's hard for us as humans, you okay? Hard for us as humans to tell them apart. By doing a blood test, you can tell whether it's a male or a female. Huh? 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 And she did have surgery on one of her eyes a couple of years ago to have a cataract removed. If you have older pets, or I'll also say older relatives, that's actually something that comes with age. You can get a clouded lens. And so she actually had surgery to have the clouded lens removed to improve her vision. So any questions that you have about the raven?
They never tested the blood to determine the gender, or?
They didn't. It's an additional cost to do that.
Okay.
And, you know, as nonprofits.
Right.
Yeah. If we had a pair and one of them laid eggs, we'd know one was a female and one was a male. We've only got the one. I usually say she when I talk about this raven, because she's very attached to one of our male staff people. And
Okay.
female birds tend to attach a little bit more to men, and male birds tend to attach a little bit more to females, as a rule.
She doesn't have a name?
Her name is Raven. So here at the museum, we actually don't give the wild animals names. It's just our policy here. So I think she knows the word raven though. So yeah, she likes to eat all different sorts of things in the wild. As I said, her preference actually would be for meat. So little things that she could catch or carrion. These guys are famous in the wild for following packs of wolves or groups of coyotes. They're very smart. They know when the packs are on the move, they're probably hunting, and they're looking for leftovers. These guys have also been, there's lots of stories with hunters out west that they'll come to the sound of a gunshot, because again, the birds have associated the sound of gunshot with people hunting. So the bird would be looking for the leftovers. So very, very smart birds. In the wild, their relatives, as I think we mentioned this earlier, a lot of research has been done on crows. But there was a group of crows in England that was actually picking up walnuts and dropping them at intersections with cars, because they realized that when the cars drove over the walnut shells, they would crack the walnuts open because they had no way of cracking the shells themselves. This group of birds, the crows and the ravens, also has sort of an interesting habit. They love shiny things. So they'll pick up pennies, lost jewelry, little bits of foil, like candy wrappers and gum wrappers, and they tend to stash them in little hiding places. In the facility that I worked to prior to this one, one of the zookeepers who was taking care of the raven who lived at the zoo dropped a little metallic pink pocket knife in the exhibit, and she didn't realize that she had done that, and she left and she went to her next exhibit, and I happened to come across her and she was like, oh, I think I lost that metallic pocket knife in the raven exhibit, and I kind of laughed, and she went into the exhibit and she was like, I can't find it. I'm pretty sure I dropped it in there. And I said, well, I think the raven may have gotten it before you did. And she said, oh, I'm just concerned that the bird's going to hurt itself. And I said, well, no thumbs, so the bird can't open the knife. It just wants it for the shiny outer covering. And she never did find it. We think the raven had a little hiding spot like under a rock, and she saw it, picked it up, and tucked it away and kept it for herself. So we do have, if you'd like to hear, we have the call of a crow and we have the call of a raven, if you'd like to hear the difference. So I'm going to put her back in her carrying cage.
Can the raven learn deliver letters like pigeon?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Can raven learn to deliver, messages like pigeons? Can they
You
learn
know, that is a wonderful question. They don't seem to have as strong a homing impulse.
Mm-hmm.
So pigeons have an incredibly strong
Yeah.
homing impulse and the ability either using the magnetic fields of the earth or actually changes in light
Mm-hmm.
and their perception of light to find their way home from places they've never been before. I don't know that ravens have been tested for that, but they're not really known for that.
Okay.
And I would say, as a contrast, pigeons, not extremely intelligent birds.
Oh.
The other group of birds that scientists usually rank up or near the corvid family is actually psittacines or parrots. So you've probably heard it, you probably recognize the call of a crow. So that's a pretty common call, and we hear that in and around our houses and parks. And my friend Brad actually has some raven vocalizations on his phone.
Can you tell the difference?
So they're deeper calls. I would almost say they're coarser. They can be louder. And as we said, in the wild, you would usually see ravens either by themselves or two ravens together. Crows you can see by themselves in pairs, but especially during the winter, they tend to get together and roost in really large groups. So crows are much more social. Any other questions about either the raven or any of the animals that you've visited here at the museum?
Do you want to ask any questions? Do you have any questions about the raven? No?
You guys did great. I'm going to be here for a minute or two if you have